everyone, welcoming you all. So you are watching my channel Rista Italian. So today we are going to talk about a very important topic of administrative law, that is doctrine of separation of powers in a simple manner possible. So in today's video we will understand what the concept of doctrine of powers is, what are the historical perspective of this concept, and who are the people who are behind its very theory, and what are its implications in today's world. So let's get started. So let us first know about the very meaning of separation of power. So the very meaning itself is hidden inside the title itself, that is separation of powers, which explicitly talks about the division of powers or separation of powers. Now we will understand what it talks about separation between home and house. So the introduction part or the very meaning of the doctrine of separation of powers says that the doctrine of separation of powers is a fundamental principle in political theory that aims to prevent the concentration of authority in one body by dividing government responsibilities into distinct branches. So, what is the aim of doctrine of separation of powers? To prevent concentration of authority in one body. So, in simple manner, we will understand that if we invest all of the powers in only one particular organ, so there's possibility it will lead to arbitrariness or corruption or such alike things. Therefore, in order to have a better governmental system, we need to separate the powers with other organ as well, so that they will be able to work independently without harming cause or without interrupting into others' works as well. So let's just talk about who was the person behind this very theory. So that was the person, that is Montesquieu. So according to Montesquieu, it was the essence of the good government of a country that the powers of the government are classified into the solid three watertight compartments. So Montesquieu has talked about that powers should be divided between three watertight compartments. So here he explicitly talks about the power should not be invested into one particular organ only for better governments. So the next point, we have these branches function separately and none should encroach upon the other. So the very aim of the separation of power is that they will not be, indulging upon others' work, and every organ will work independently. Now let us know about what is the historical background of this theory. So doctrine of separation of power is of ancient origin. So it's not like doctrine of power is something that we got today itself. It has its root from its ancient period itself, and Montesquieu is the example or the lived proof behind it. The history of the origin of the doctrine is traceable to Aristotle. So Aristotle is again very famous figure who is also related to the doctrine of separation of power theory. In the 16th and 17th centuries, French philosopher John Bodin, British politician Locke, respectively, had propounded a doctrine of separation of power. So, along with Montesquieu, there are some other philosophers also who has given contribution to the theory of separation of power, and they are that is French philosopher John Bodin and also British politician, that is Locke. But it was Montesquieu who, for the first time, gave it a systematic and scientific formulation in his book Spirit des Lois, that is the Spirit of the Laws, published in the year 1748. So, after reading this, what we got to know that Montesquieu wasn't the only one who has propounded this theory. Before him, there are also other uh, philosophers as well who has talked about the very theory itself, but their views were not constructed in a systematic manner, which will be, uh, you know, give implication to the society. And after a period of time, Montesquieu came, and uh, his theory was very much constructed and will be adopted in the society as well. And it was published in his book, that is the Spirit of the Laws, in the year 1748. Now let us know about more in depth about the doctrine of separation of powers. So the delegates limited the authority of the national government by creating three branches, that is the legislative branch would make laws, the executive branch would enforce laws, the judicial branch would interpret laws. So till then, Montesquieu talks about that there should be division between three watertight compartments, but in this diagram itself, it was listed what should be the organs that should be separated, and there should be powers vested within them, and that is the legislative branch will be there to make laws, and their primary work is to make law only. Therefore, we have executive branch would enforce law, and executive law will be enforcing such laws made by the legislature. Then we have the judicial branch would interpret those laws. So the third category will interpret the laws made by legislative and were enforced by the executive branch. So in that manner, both three organs have their different kind of works, and they will not be interpreting in other job. So now let us talk about the basic principle of separation of power. So no concentration of powers. The theory of separation powers involved that powers should not be concentrated on the same person or in the same body of person. If all powers are placed in the same branch of government, it is bound to be tyranny. So Montesquieu was very much sure about that. If we invest all of the powers within one compartment only, so there is very much possibility that will lead it to a tyranny. Therefore, they should be strictly divided between all the three compartment, borderlet compartment that the Montesquieu has talked about. That is legislative, executive, and judicial. Now, the second principle talks about division of powers needed. The theory implies that powers are to be diffused by bringing about a division of powers on the basis of function. So again, Montesquieu was talking about why the very concept separation of power is needed in society. The next we have system of checks and balances. The executive organs will some control over the legislature and and the judiciary over executive and legislature. This method of one branch having the power of the other branches will act as an antidote to despotism. So now here the thing is, Montesquieu has talked about that there should be division of powers, both all of the organs should be able to work independently. At the same manner, there is a concept of checks and balances that all the three organs are working independently, but despite that, they have a kind of a control over each other workings. And Montesquieu has talks about this as an antidote to despotism. So now let's talk about whether the effects or defects that we able to see in this very doctrine or in the very concept itself. So the first effect we have, it a very good impact on the development of administrative law and in the functioning of the government. As I said, separation of power is a very important topic in the administrative law. If you are a student of LLB or if you are a student of LLM, this topic has its more importance in both of the courses itself. Now let's talk about the second point. It is well appreciated and accepted by the jurists and politicians in England and America. So the doctrine of powers has been appreciated by many, be it philosophers, be it jurists. So it has some effects as well. So now let's talk about the defect that it has. Historical incongruity. This exposition of this theory is based on the British Constitution of the first part of the 18th century, as he understood it. In reality, there was no separation of under the Constitution of England. In British Constitution, the doctrine was never adopted. As I say, the theory talks about the separation of powers. But in truer sense, if we see the picture of today's society or today's scenario, we cannot uh, say that there is actually separation of power. It is here in theoretical manner, but it is not practically possible to imply it with a government or with any government. Next we have that is division of function. The assumption behind this doctrine is that the three functions of the government are divisible from each other. The fact, however, is that it is not so in reality. There are no watertight compartments that is overlapping with each other. So if we talk about whether the criticism of doctrine of separation of power, we can add these points also. As I said, there is a basis of separation, but at the same time, all the three organs are linked together. If they are not work in that manner, all the three organs will collapse. So that is the another defect of Montesquieu's theory, that is separation of powers. The next we have practical difficulties in acceptance. It is difficult to take certain actions if this doctrine is accepted in its entirety. In practice, it has not been found possible to concentrate power of one kind in one organ only. The legislature doesn't act merely as a lawmaking body, but also acts as an overseer of the executive. An administrative organ has legislative function. The judiciary has only judicial functions, but also has some rule-making powers. As I said, all the organs are overlapping with some duties, and they have kind of a certain link with other organs as well. And that's why true implication towards this theory is not possible in any manner. The next we have adherence So it's not possible in welfare state. The modern state is a welfare state and it has to solve many complex socio-economic problems of a country. In this state of affairs, it is not possible to stick to this doctrine. So the doctrine was propounded way back, that is in 18th century. Until now, there has been many development in our legal system as well. Therefore, if we still go back and had that theory applicable in today's world, that would be not good enough for our welfare state. The next we have, that is organic separation. Vass's view is that in modern practice, the theory of separation of power means an organic separation, and the distinct must be drawn between incidental and essential powers, and that one organ of government cannot usurp or encodes upon the essential function belonging to another organ, but may exercise some incidental function thereof. So, despite having effect, the concept or the theory has many defects as well, as I have listed here and as I have explained. So, it is about the effect and defects of Montesquieu's doctrine, that is separation of powers. So now we are moving towards the end of this video. So I am concluding the topic or the very concept within 3 sentences. Separation of power is crucial for preventing the abuse of power in democracy. So separation of powers is a crucial method for preventing the abuse of power, or the abuse of, or to stop tyranny in one particular organ. Montesquieu's ideas influence legal and political structures in many countries, including India. So, despite having many defects, Montesquieu's idea is still accepted in many countries, including the India itself. Checks and balances are essential protecting democratic government. So, at the same time, the separation of power has given kind of a power to every organ to work independently, and at the same time, it has a kind of a systematic way to have a check over other organs as well, and that makes it a kind of a uh, perfect blend of theory, that is the doctrine separation of power. So that is all about today. Hope I have covered all necessary information relating to separation of power. So we'll be meeting soon with another video, and we'll be uh, try to cover up other essential topics as well. So till then, stay happy, stay healthy. Thank you for watching the video.